and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome her to the Wake Up Call. Good morning, Miss Shafia, London.
Good morning, Crystal. And good morning to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, except the man who molested the child. I'm not saying good morning to him. Good morning to
Everybody else.
Oh, and all others like him too. I'm not saying good morning to you. Go and say good morning to a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But good morning, Crystal, and good morning to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Perfect. I like the way we're starting. Yes. Now, Miss London is no stranger to the media. I'm sure pretty much that many people know her as the daughter of one of the most well-known radio personalities who has gone on to the great beyond, E.G. Lynch.
Yes, that's right. My dad.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
He rest in peace. It's been about 7 years, right?
It has been, yes.
Sometimes I'm afraid to ask questions about, people who were close to our guests and have gone on. But anyways, we'll get into that a little bit later on. We're going to speak about success, especially coming from a woman dominating the male dominant field. All right. Most latest achievement, right? She says from her Facebook post, kind of lengthy, so I'm just going to pull out a little bit. I've accepted an offer to lead the Banks Holdings Limited, BHL group of companies as CEO. Do you know what that means? Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, Crystal.
And you started already.
Yes, I have.
How has it been?
Nerve-wracking, of course, because it is a big challenge, but I'm not afraid.
Okay,
I'm prepared. I'm ready to take on any challenge, and this is just a new one.
That's good. Congratulations. Oh my gosh. When I saw it, I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I'm pretty sure, especially for women, have they been reaching out to you? Have women been reaching out to you since you shared this with us?
Yes, but that's not new. I have a good network of women, and we talk, we exchange ideas. And yes, young women in particular, however, since this announcement, have been reaching out. I've been asking, how do I get to be that? How do I get there? So I've been having a lot of those types of conversation recently, more than often, more than before.
Okay, so we're going to have a similar conversation because I'm pretty sure the women who are listening, and men too, especially women, are wondering how does a woman get to that level, especially considering what happens within our society and the views of the woman within the Caribbean society. I want to start off though just by going back a little bit, right? I'd like to know if you don't mind, the 7-year-old Shafia. What was she like?
She lived in Dixon Village, a rural community in Georgetown area. It's not Georgetown. We country people like to keep our villages separate. Georgetown is Georgetown, Dixon is Dixon. But for the purpose of this interview, Dixon Village in Georgetown.
Dixon Village in Georgetown. Good morning to the folks in Dixon Village in Georgetown.
Yes, that's my home. Always shall be. So I grew up in Dixon. So at 7, I might be seen riding a bicycle to school every day from Dixon to Langley Park Government School. Quite a distance. Still have my legs to show for it.
Oh, bang.
It was a long ride. I'll ride every day going to school. I grew up with my grandparents. My primary school years was with my grandparents, and they've been really awesome. I've never want for anything. They were like both mommy and daddy to me. Because my mother, she would have migrated to the US to pursue better things. So I'm a barrel baby, as they call us. You didn't grow up with your mom. But in those days, that was maybe one of the few opportunities you had. And so she took it. As a child, you didn't understand that. You just knew mommy was absent, and you didn't understand why. But she went away to pursue better things for herself, and I guess for me, because I'm her only child. And my dad, he believed, I guess, in the Bible, so he sowed his seeds quite a lot.
That's what I mean.
So
Ooh.
yeah, he had quite a lot of kids. Obviously, he couldn't give me the attention and the time that you would expect of a father in the home. So he wasn't in the home either. But my grandparents stepped in, Elente, Samuel and Malcolm Samuel, they stepped in and they did a great job. I mean, they spoiled me rotten as well. But that's a whole different story. My aunts
That's good
were
spoiling.
that's good spoiling. My aunts were there to buffer that a little bit. So my grandfather, he was intent on protecting me. So I didn't have time to go around too much in the village. I had to go to the mountains with him, either very early in the morning before school or after school. I have to spend hours in the mountain. Did nothing but sit in a mango tree and eat
Really?
mangoes all day. But I couldn't, he didn't want me to hang around boys. I didn't understand at that age. But now I certainly do.
Oh.
And
Thank you, Grandpa.
yeah, he's gone to the great beyond.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time observing him farming, working hard for his living. He was a farmer, he was a butcher. He sold oranges, citrus fruits. He would pick them or go around and buy from persons. He also bought bottles. He had many names, Butterman, McPhee, a lot. And I think I was his favorite person in this world. So he had that extra care or concern for my well-being, and so he spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time with him. Awesome man. I wish every father could be like him. So at 7 years old, that's what I'll be doing with Grandpa in the mountain, or going to pick citrus fruits, or spending time maybe with a few friends every now and then when he allows me, or when he's gone and I got that little free time to go spend time to play. And with my aunt Jacinth, we had a house. It was one of those extended family homes. So she lived upstairs with her family, and I lived downstairs with Grandpa and Grandma. And so she was also that buffer, as I said, from all the spoiled treatment that my grandparents gave me.
Can't get too much, huh?
But it was fun. It was great. Being from country, I would not exchange it for the world. It really teaches you some fundamentals that you take throughout your life. You learn to be humble. You learn to appreciate the little things in life. An awesome experience that I would never exchange. And you learn to work hard as well, because it's a very humble beginning and you have to work for everything that you need. And so being from that environment has taught me that. And those values have stayed with me forever. And they will stay with me forever. I'm hoping to pass them on to my children, as a matter of fact. And if ever I feel extremely overwhelmed, extremely tired, I take a trip back to St. Vincent and I go to Dixon and I just sit down, or I just stand in the village. Yeah, I actually go and sit by a mango tree or something. Wow. And that calms my spirit to no end. It's amazing.
Yeah,
so I'm really appreciative of my humble beginnings in Dixon.
Wow, amazing. Shout out to all I know some people like to hear country people, but shout out to all the country people. Some people don't like to hear it. I don't know why, but pick up yourselves.
Oh no, I'm proud of that.
All right.
Country girl.
Country girl, the country girl Shafia London came to extreme. All right, so the 7-year-old Shafia, the things that you have experienced, from what I'm learning, have stuck with you, and could I safely say that they have contributed to your success today?
They've definitely helped to build a foundation, because as I said, that's just the first 10 years of my life. And since then, there have been other experiences that have molded and contributed to that success. But it has definitely been the foundation. Having that support structure, having that humble beginning, seeing hard work and appreciating hard work, that forms that foundation that you need forever.
Okay, wonderful. So we're going to move on to the 14 or 15-year-old Shafia. Was she the same as the 7-year-old riding bike? Or like, if you went to GHS, you can't ride bike now.
Yes, so after being in Dixon, my aunt, Margaret London, a lot of people know her, night nurse. She would have taken me so that I can stay with her to go to girls' high school, because I would have passed to go to girls' high school. And I lived with her for a number of years. So from 10 to about 15, I lived with her. And she was a nurse at the time. And I think I've lived in every village in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because she moved a lot. I've lived in Glen, Calico, Richmond Hill, Camden Park, everywhere I could think of, I've lived with her. So that in itself was also a good foundation because I get to know a lot of people. And so when I talk about where I'm from, it's sometimes I have to think. And I always go back to Dixon. But then I remember, wait a minute, your brother and I were neighbors and we were friends, Lorenzo. You probably don't know that. We did this amazing science project together. And he would spend a lot of afternoons with me because we loved science.
Yeah, he's a nerd.
Yeah, I guess that makes me want to. So that 15-year-old now was one who's trying to find herself. A little bit rebellious, and my aunt was really strict. And when I tell you strict, again, it's like my grandfather times 10. But I think it's because they saw something and they wanted to protect it. I remember she used to give me a lot of freedoms. And from the time I hit 15, it just stopped. And she's like, you're not going anywhere. When it was my graduation, I had to take a chaperone with me. And I was so upset because all my friends had their boyfriends, and that special night.
Yeah.
And my chaperone was there. To this day, she's my best friend. But yeah, I couldn't do anything like that. So she was ultra protective. And I didn't understand that as a child, I think. I believe that as a teenager, you're trying to find your way and you're being pulled in all different directions. But having someone who just anchors you is really important. And as parents, we have to always remember that the child may actually despise you for a little bit, but it is necessary. And my aunt would always say to me, if you want to cross the road, you have to cross it. Obstacles are going to come in your way. You have to cross it. So she'll say all these amazing things to me that to this day, I used to not like her saying them, but now I repeat them like, oh my God, I've turned into my aunt.
I know what you mean. Like, I can't believe I'm. Wait a minute.
I'm repeating all these things that she was saying to me. But I was really rebellious. I didn't like it, so I ran away from home.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
So at 15, I found myself in a house that nobody was occupying for like a day or two. And I'm not going back home. I'm tired of this place. I don't have my mother. I don't have my father. My aunt, I think she hates me. That was the feeling at the time, not knowing that she really was looking out for me. And so I ran away. And I called my dad and I said to my dad, if you don't come for me, I'm gone. I don't want to be in this life anymore. So as a teenager, there's a struggle. And when I see teenagers struggle, it touches a special part of me because I understand that struggle. And even in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as well, a lot of parents either go away and leave their children, or mentally and physically they also not present. And children need their parents. They need someone to be there to understand, to talk to, because even though my aunt was there, I still felt like I needed my mommy and I needed my daddy. It's an odd feeling. Now I'm older, I fully appreciate my aunt because it must be tough to just to be that for someone. Be mommy, daddy, everything in one, and it's not your child.
Yeah.
To this day, my kids call her grandma, and I can't. So they now have 3 grandmas, and I could never change that.
Yeah.
And they will ask me, how come she's my grandma? Like, she's your grandma. That's it. End of story.
Don't ask me nothing.
So 15-year-old me was in high school, studying a lot, and I want to also share a story because in life, you're going to go through a lot of challenges. I remember my aunt trying to help herself as a young woman then. She would have bought a property in the Glen area, and the developer was very unfair to her. He didn't develop the property, so there was no electricity. So I studied for my CXCs for 2 years without electricity. And I remember my friends would be talking about TV shows, and I would go by the neighbor's house and watch it, and I'm in the conversation the next day as if I had a TV at home because I was pretending. I can't tell anybody in girls' high school I don't have electricity. I can't tell them, at night I use a candle. Now I'm really proud of that because I had to overcome that struggle, and I have bad eyes because of it, but now they're healing, thank God.
Oh, praise the Lord.
But I had to go through that, and my aunts would have persons come and stay with me and so on, and it was a tough time. And when I graduated high school, I was the top person. I was the top student for girls' high school that year. Those days, doing 10 subjects was like amazing, and I did 10 subjects. Now people doing 20 and 30 and 40.
Oh, I tell you. In my day, it was 11, 12.
10 was amazing. So I did 10 subjects, got my 10 subjects, a whole bunch of ones. I don't even know the subjects now. Because, why did I use so many subjects again? But that helped because the teachers were also there. They were really supportive as well. So I had a network, and I think teachers, I want to stress this point. Teachers, your role is so important in the lives of young people. Like, I could name teachers who have really made me recognize the true value of who I am and pushed me and supported me. I mean, I can start with Mr. Gavin Seymour from Dixon, Melanie Bino. They were, and those are the primary school ones. And then coming up into secondary school, I had persons like Miss Ned, Miss Diamond, Miss Alexis. They were always behind me. Like, why are these people so behind me? Miss Dame Susan Duggan now. Oh man, she was so strict, but I loved her.
Boy, I tell you, listen, if you want to see people scatter in GHS,
Yeah, she just had to appear, and she would stand with her hands akimbo, and she would just be like, with her head, and that's it. She said nothing, but everybody
you scattered
ran.
to your classroom.
Yes, and
Exactly.
so there was this discipline, this structure, this support from teachers, and I hope teachers continue to be in that. Don't give up on the kids. If you see a child in class who's not doing well or who looks sad, sometimes kids come to school with a lot of burden, and you are like their only hope and their only light, and you have to continue to help them and just listen to them, find out what's going on in the home. You may not be able to solve it,
Right.
but just having someone to talk with is really important. So that's 15-year-old me studying, trying to have a boyfriend, my auntie not allowing it, and her talking in my ears and me running away from home, basically.
Wow, wow. We've learned so much from about Shafia, the 7-year-old, the 15-year-old Shafia. I mean, so many things that are coming out, and it's unfortunate we don't have a lot of time to really get into it. You mentioned teachers, and just yesterday I was talking about, like, just briefly, the role of teachers in, some children's lives and parents as well. So many things. I hope listeners are taking in as much as you possibly can. If not, the Facebook Live is always there for you to look back, right? At Extreme 104 SVG, YouTube, and we're also on Twitch. All right, let me just make sure that all right, so somebody says here, well, Mike is checking in from Toronto. Elvin says, Shafia London, good day and happy new year. Also, Crystal, enough respect to you both and all successful Vinci people, especially the women. I will wait to get into the woman aspect. I want to now move on to, I don't know if you notice the trend, 7 teenagers, maybe the 24, 25-year-old Shafia.
Right, so...
Or you could move to now, whichever one is.
Yeah.
Present day.
Right, so I guess that's just after university.
Right.
So I was gone off to university. By the way, I want to mention Patrice Reddock, because after I ran away from home, she took me in. And she molded me a whole new woman. Learn to sit. So as I'm sitting here, if I curve my back, I remember her and I straighten myself.
I know, right?
You have to learn to
As
sit,
you
learn to
mentioned
wear your makeup properly, learn to match your clothes properly, little things like that. But I lived with her for a couple of years. Went off to university to study because I would have gotten an island scholarship. Went to Trinidad and then to the UK. I remember being in the UK and saying, this is not for me. I was studying science, biochemical engineering to be precise. And it was interesting, it was challenging because I like challenges. If something is easy for me, I lose interest, which is not necessarily a good thing because being easy means you're probably very good at it and therefore you should push for it. But I go the opposite way, I go the hard road.
Yeah.
And so I went to do that and I remember saying, this is not for me. I need something else. This is
a challenge.
I need a challenge. Well, no, not that it was a challenge. It was challenging, but it was boring.
It's not like you're afraid to say it was boring.
I don't want to offend the scientists.
I don't think they'll take offense. Just like, no.
And I remember calling Lennox Bowman. He's my mentor, still my mentor. And I call him.
He's
and
an
I said,
exceptional human being, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Good morning to Mr. Bowman.
Yes, and Mrs. Bowman.
Yes, and Mrs. Bowman. Morning, Mrs. Bowman.
So
Before I get in trouble.
He'll probably laugh. And I said to him, I can't do this anymore. But at that stage, you feel like you're failing because the country has invested a lot of money in you. And biochemical engineering at PhD level is not cheap. And I said to him, I think I'm not sure about this anymore. And he said, just take a break. Come home, relax your mind, Shafia. You have to be in a place where you're comfortable. And sometimes you need to take a break and reassess where you want to be. And you're still young. If you want to go back, you go back. And if you want to change path, you can still do that. And hearing that from someone who's so successful was like, wow, I can do that. I can change my mind.
Yeah. I could take a break.
It brings me to an important point because we pressure young people, especially the ones who we think are smart, and we pressure them. And we asking 7-year-olds, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want a 7-year-old? They haven't experienced life. They haven't tapped into all of their skills. They haven't met persons enough. It's too early to pressure. However, it's good to have direction.
Right.
But you don't pressure the children. And so I came home and came on a break, and I guess that break is still going on 10 years later.
Wait a minute. I thought you were going to say, all right, I sat in the mango tree, I had a couple mangoes, and I went back up.
No, my tutor to this day, she writes me because she thought I was such a good student, and she said, is your break over yet? Every year for the last 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
Is your break over yet, Shafia? When are you coming back?
Like, yeah, about that.
So I came home, got a job at the Chamber of Commerce, met great minds, Lennox Lampkins there, one of the smartest persons I know, really good ideas. And also a lot of business people. It was like the perfect environment for me because I had these business people, Sam Goodluck, Martin Laborde, a whole host of business, Villette Brown, business people. And I was like their child. And all of them, because they were the board of directors and I was the business development officer, but I was quickly promoted to executive director, but I was 23 years old. So 23 years old, executive director for Chamber of Commerce, being responsible for all the businesses in St. Vincent to lobby and speak on their behalf. Believe you me, I had to pretend a lot to be stronger than I was, but eventually it became my truth. But they were there and they offered all of this advice and they told me how to speak. They exposed me to a lot. So I was sitting with prime ministers and with heads of government and regional and local meetings and doing all this research. It was really good, but I was 23 years old. But it was a baptism by fire, but a really good one. So I also want to say, that was an instrumental part of my business foundation. Because very early I had all this group of the best CEOs and general managers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as my close friends, I would even call them, because they were guiding me and they were asking me to represent their business interests. So I got to understand how business worked very early. But at 23, you're adventurous. And after 3 years, got bored again. I'm like, I'm gone. I want to try business because how come all these people so successful? I want to do this too. So I went into entrepreneurship. And boy, was that a journey.
We could talk at length about that, boy. I tell you.
Entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. You need resources. You need everything, really.
You have to have a very
you have a
good
big
heart.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like your baby, and sometimes you might take offense really easily.
Yes, and you have to take your emotions from it, and it sucks a lot of your resources. So that again, that's why I said to you, the childhood was a good base, but that mid-20s was even better for me in terms of building that base, because now I was exposed to business, my own business and other people's business. I went off on my own business and I think I bit off a lot more than I could chew at the time, a lot more. So I had a hotel, I had a Villamar, which was the fish processing plant.
Right.
I did something else, some other major thing. But I went big, a bar and restaurant. And boy, I tell you, it was really a journey. But I guess my point here is as well, entrepreneurs. We need entrepreneurs, because I think if there was an opportunity for me to stay in it, I think I would have stayed. But I gave up. And I gave up because something else came up. So ABI had bought out, CND, a company from the DR, had bought the brewery, and they approached me. and they said, we've been watching you with your own business,
Wow.
and we think you'll do well with ours.
Wow.
But I think I'm not sure I would have taken that road. I'm not sure if I had enough tenacity to say, let me pursue the entrepreneurial path. But it requires funding, it requires persons behind you, and you really have to be tough. Being an entrepreneur in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is tough. So to all the entrepreneurs out there, keep going, don't give up, but I understand it's tough.
Very
It
tough.
really is.
It's extremely tough.
Yes.
Put in the extreme there. All right. So we're gonna stick a pin here. I know that you've got a lot more to share, especially with the 25-year-old Shafia, and moving on to this St. Vincent Brewery, and then moving on to something else. It's a lot, and I'm loving every moment of it. All right. Let's stick a pin. Thank you so much for joining the live.